It takes 2,700 litres of water to make one cotton t-shirt. That's enough water to sustain a human for almost 4 years.
And our guest today is making it easier to choose fashion without harm. Welcome to The Human Factor, the show where we explore social change through the eyes of social entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders. My name is Melanie Roussin, her name is Erin McKay, and we are your hosts. Sandra Capponi is one half of the app and website Good On You. Good On You gives shoppers the power and knowledge to make choices that reflects their value. So it's basically do good when we shop. Launched in 2015 with 10,000 people downloading the app in just 8 days, Good On You makes it easier to be a more ethical and sustainable shopper, supporting businesses with purpose and social enterprises all over the world. Hi, Sandra. Please fill in the gap in my intro and tell us how you would describe yourself.
Hi. Well, firstly, thanks, Erin and Melanie, for inviting me along to chat and for the introduction. I guess I would say that I'm just like many other people. I'm someone who cares about the impact I'm having on the world, and ideally, I'd like to change it for the better. Earlier in my career, I worked in the corporate sector and was focused on trying to influence change from within the system, as they say, through sustainability and corporate social responsibility initiatives. And while I still think there's an important role for that, more recently I've been thinking a lot about the role that I play in society as an individual, because I think that for those of us who want to see change in the system, we should first look at ourselves and consider what we can do, which is really the whole premise behind Good On You. Like you said, we're about empowering individuals to make more ethical choices and make a difference when they shop. Our big goal is to build the world's most comprehensive brand rating system so that literally anyone, anywhere can shop in a way that aligns to their values, and in doing so can hold entire industries to account. But yeah, it's still really early days for Good On You, but we already have over 50,000 people using the app to shop better. So we think we're on the right track.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm one of those 50,000 and I love it. So I guess, a lot of people have not ever built an app. So I wonder what's a typical day like for you, the person behind the app and the website?
Well, I feel like every day is so different, and, we're a startup. So there's always new ideas that we're exploring, different people and partners that we're talking to, and definitely new challenges that are always being thrown our way. Gordon's the co-founder of Good On You. We work really closely and lead a small but incredible team of passionate people that really make Good On You what it is. So I have the privilege of spending my days with them, essentially trying to solve problems and trying to have an impact. And app development, I guess, is one tool that we're exploring to do that.
What is the one thing that most people don't know or understand about ethical shopping?
There's probably a couple of different ways to answer that. I think on one side, there's still many people that just are not aware of the impact that their shopping is having on other people and the environment. Especially when it comes to fashion and clothing, there's still a real disconnect with the idea that the clothes we buy could actually come at the cost of people's livelihood or even lives, let alone the huge impact of waste and pollution that's generated by the fashion industry. Some of the statistics are just really shocking. But on the flip side, there's also a pretty big and growing number of people who are aware of the issues, but maybe don't realise that there's more ethical options out there, ethical options that, or even just options that, I guess, address the issues that people care about, but also importantly still meets people's preferences on price and style, which is important when you're buying clothes, right? But the good news is that ethical shopping is becoming more and more accessible and mainstream.
Absolutely. I agree. Like one of the reasons why I secondhand shop is I just don't want to, there's too much information to consider when shopping new. So I think, okay, well, my part, I'll do secondhand.
Yeah, yeah.
So an app like Good On You makes that so much easier to, actually tackle. So, Good On You, it's not actually a charity or a social enterprise itself, but you guys are obviously working with a really big social mission. So how do you guys ensure that you're working towards achieving that social mission while still actually meeting the things that you need to do when running a profitable business?
Yeah, well, we often talk about our vision being for a world where consumer choices drive businesses to be more sustainable and fair. So that's very much a social mission that drives us and is at the core of everything we do. And to achieve that objective, we need to scale to a point where there are millions of people around the world using Good On You to shop better. But to achieve that, we need to build a solid, sustainable business model that allows us to continue to evolve and grow. So those two things, or those two sides, our social and our business objectives, are closely linked and integrated in our organization.
Take us through what you consider to be, I guess, your worst moment to date with Good On You, because we all have our, up and down.
Yeah.
So take us through that story.
I'm not sure if I've had a worst moment. We've definitely had some setbacks and disappointments as a team, and some that maybe I've taken personally because, I've been involved in that particular initiative. For example, hearing no from potential investors, or, thinking that we'd gotten some traction in a new market, but it was slower than expected. But I'm not sure that they're kind of, in hindsight, actually terrible moments, because, often we learn something along the way. And, I mentioned before, we're a startup, and it's very much the nature of a startup to kind of have these setbacks, which are really just learnings that kind of set us on a new direction. But I would say, probably the worst moments come from just delving more and more into the issues the social issues that we're trying to address, and learning about the ongoing suffering of humans and animals that is still all too common in the fashion industry. I think that probably is what gets me the most, and I guess just highlights that we still haven't solved the problem yet, and in fact we've probably got a long way to go.
So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I think a lot of the things in the world are exactly like that. I guess I personally came a long way, and I think I can hear Erin laughing already, in terms of technology and how I use technology. So I can only begin to understand what's required in terms of creating an app, and especially creating an app with a social purpose. And I know you've got a little bit of experience as well in terms of, branding and marketing. And I was wondering, what kind of tips would you have for people who may be considering creating an app?
That's funny that Erin is laughing at you in the background, because there's actually quite a few friends of mine laugh at me and the idea that I'm developing an app, because I'm not particularly tech savvy myself. But the whole Good On You is not just an app. We're much bigger than that, and we're, as I mentioned before, we use the app as a great way to reach a lot of people with information that allows them to shop better. And I think, being aware of those tools that allows you to connect to a lot of people is really important. But the most important thing is the connection itself and the engagement itself. What else have I learned? I think what I continue to learn is that hard work and persistence does pay off. But the only way to sustain that over a long period of time is to do something or find something that you truly believe in. Because otherwise, you burn out. And working in this kind of environment is challenging, because On the one side, you're trying to address a social challenge, which is complex. On the other side, you're creating a new product, in this case, an app, which in itself is complex. And then bringing all of that together in a new market to try and influence millions of people and businesses around the world is a pretty significant challenge. But we are making progress, and we are getting great feedback from everyone involved, which shows that our hard work and commitment to this issue and to this challenge is paying off.
I've got a bit of a marketing background. Actually, I've got a pretty big marketing background, but also in terms of digital marketing. And I know that one thing that I really resonate with what you just said is in terms of you focus on engagement. So you don't let, technology become a barrier. And if you focus on engagement, then you can look at technology not as a kind of a band-aid solution, but as just a way to support the engagement. And I think that's a very good lesson and a very good tip for people to hear.
Yeah, technology is a great enabler, I think, not just a support, but it's an enabler of that connection and engagement with audiences all over the world.
So, we just talked a little bit about the app, but I guess I'm curious to know, what would you say is the greatest idea that you had to date? Again, take us through that story. So if you had, for example, an aha moment and you turn it into what we see today.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is actually how I came to being part of Good on You. At about this time last year, I was still working in my old role in the corporate sector and feeling a little bit, I guess, lost or just unsure of where I wanted to head next. I knew I was up for the next challenge, and I knew that I had a passion for sustainability and social justice, but I didn't know exactly what that meant for me in terms of my kind of career direction. And I thought about starting something myself, and was also, researching organisations that I thought were doing something that aligned to my passions and my interests. And then I heard about Good on You, and met Gordon, the original founder, who had already been, working with the idea of education and the fact that a growing number of people were wanting to make more ethical choices for some time. And something just clicked in me immediately. I knew this was something that I wanted to be a part of. And we had a number of conversations back and forth that eventually resulted in us forming a partnership. And I think that's reminded me that the best ideas are often already out there. That it's easy to kind of think, you have to dream up something new and innovative yourself. But really, there's so much great initiative already out there. The trick is just to find what triggers something, possibly an aha moment in you.
Yeah, that's so true. Everyone's always saying, as someone who works in fundraising, people are always saying to me, like, you have to think of something completely different.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can just do what's already out there, but do it better.
Yeah.
Put a new spin on it. Yeah.
That's it. I think there's a real skill in kind of picking and finding the right ideas.
And so I'm wondering how, you've got over, did you say 50,000 people on the app? You guys have got a huge presence on social media. How do you communicate with both your investors and also your app users to show the impact that their money and shopping choices are actually having?
Great question. This is actually a challenge for us. Impact measurement really is something that we acknowledge we want to do and we want to get better at. What we currently focus on is building a community of ethical shoppers, empowering them and enabling them to support brands that do better on the issues they care about. So that's the impact that we're able to create and demonstrate by building this larger and larger community. More specifically for investors, we have a series of performance indicators that we report and we use to track and boost the growth of our organisation. But ideally, we'd be able to track the impact of those improved decisions by consumers and improved behaviour of businesses in a more methodical and quantifiable way.
And I was going to say, it's a bit of a community effort as well, because people can report brands and they can really get involved into the process as well.
Yeah, yeah. And anecdotally, we are seeing some great change in the industry. Brands proactively contacting us, wanting to know how they can improve their rating and their rating on Good on You. And behind that means either improving their business practices or at the very least improving the transparency of what they're reporting to consumers about how they operate their business.
Absolutely. And that leads really nicely into my next question. Like, it can be so confusing when you're out shopping because people are using terms like social enterprise, fair trade, ethical on their labels of their products. And it can be easy to go, what does that actually mean? So I wonder, how does Good on You ensure it's recommending the brands and products that actually comply and make a real difference? What's your rating system?
We've tried to take all the hard work and confusion out of what you're just talking about with our brand rating system. We've developed a robust methodology that to rate brands on 3 areas of concern to consumers. That is how a brand treats their workers, how a brand impacts the environment, and how a brand respects and protects animals. Brands are rated overall on a 5-point system from 1, we avoid this brand, to 5, it's great. So it's, quick and easy to kind of deduce how a brand is performing against those 3 main issues. And transparency, which I touched on just before, is really the key to a brand's ethical performance, simply because we believe shoppers have the right to know. So we aggregate publicly available information, including certification schemes, standard systems, and other benchmarks from organisations like Fair Trade and Organic Cotton. There's already a lot of information out there, but like you alluded to, it's kind of, it's often impossible to make sense of it all or to understand what is true claims and what is potentially greenwashing. So we bring it all together in one place using our understanding of the industry and with input from key industry experts to make it easy for people to understand, as well as the certifications and industry benchmarking. I should also mention that we consider the brand's own publicly reported policies and commitments because, again, that goes to the point of transparency being really key to an overall performance of a brand.
So we are coming towards the end of our interview, but we do have a few final questions. And for our last ones, we like to make it into a little bit of like a lightning round. So just tell us the first things that come to mind for you. And our first question is, what are you most excited about today?
What am I most excited about? I'm pretty excited by the fact that we're just continuously getting more and more people who want to download the Good On You app and want to shop more ethically. We're growing exponentially and now around the world, and that's really, really exciting.
Fantastic. No, all good, all good. What was the one thing holding you back from getting involved with Good On You?
Momentarily, I mentioned I was coming out of the corporate sector and momentarily, I thought that maybe jumping out of a secure role into something completely unknown was questionable, but it didn't hold me back for long, I must admit. I knew deep down that Good On You was a wonderful cause and the opportunity to join the team was just something I couldn't miss.
I can really relate. I actually also ditched the corporate life. So
yeah.
you and me both. What is the best advice that you ever received?
To take the business in a direction that you can stay passionate about.
And so if you could leave your own words of advice that our listeners would really take to heart today, what would they be?
I'd ask listeners just to believe that we all truly have the power to do something about the issues that matter to us. Whether it's changing the fashion industry to be more ethical or pursuing your own kind of personal agenda and aspirations. The issues out there are not all somebody else's problem or fault. It really does all start with us as individuals.
Well said. And I guess I'm just going to wrap it up by doing a bit of a shout out. So if could you tell us what are the best way to reach out to you and get involved with Good on You? But one of the things that I'm very curious about is I know one of these ways is to be a volunteer as an ethical detective.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
I should have mentioned earlier, but beyond the immediate team of Good on You, we have a big community of volunteers that support everything that we do, and we're so grateful to have them. They're huge contributors to the success of our organisation, and one of the main roles that a volunteer or supporter of Good on You can take up is to become an ethical detective. And essentially they're the first stage of our brand research process, brand rating process, and they investigate a brand's ethical performance based on all that publicly available information that I mentioned before. That the work of the ethical detective is then aggregated and scored and put through the rest of our brand rating system. But it really is the first and very critical step of our process. So we have an amazing community of ethical detectives located mostly in Australia, but increasingly in other places around the world. I know we have a great group in Canada at the moment as well, who collaborate with us to rate brands.
Don't you love Canadian? And I think people can also contribute with content and videos as well, yes?
You know, the best place to direct people is to our website. We're at goodonyou.eco, and there's plenty of ways to support, to get involved, to join in our global online community. But really, you know, first and foremost, the best way to get involved is to download the app. It's free, and you know, we'd love for people to feel like it's useful and helping them act in a way that's important to them. And if you have any feedback on the app, we'd also love to hear it. We're always looking at ways to improve and become even more helpful to people. So again, you know, head to the website to check out what we're all about, to download and discover the app, and to contact us if you'd like to get more involved in some way.
Because there's so many ways for people to be in touch with you. I mean, you're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that people can join the conversation.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for joining us on the Human Factor.
Thank you both. I really appreciate this opportunity to connect with your audience, and it's been great chatting.
The goodie bag.
Ja, das ist gut. So, Mel, what are you putting in the goodie bag this episode?
Well, thank you for asking, Miriam. So I'm going to put the new charity pot. So the new charity pot is a hand and body lotion created by the company Lush. For those of you who don't know Lush, it's an international brand, so I heard. And they basically handmade cosmetic. And what's amazing about that is 100% of the sales, not the profit, goes to good causes. I don't know what the good causes are, though.
Well, it depends on where you purchase it. So it's local grassroots charities according to what country you're in. So
well informed.
Yours went to conservation volunteers.
I love it. And so I think it's quite cool. And the other thing I think it's cool is they're fighting animal testing, because animal testing is not good. And we are two animal lovers, so it's a good thing. It's also vegan as a product, and it's really encouraging as well fair trade. So working with the community, the local community, in terms of sourcing the ingredient for the product. And what about you, Erin? What are you putting into the goodie bag?
I am putting in a magazine, and it's called Peppermint Magazine, and they are actually based in Brisbane, which is very cool. That's where Mel and I are from. And it is a really great magazine because it's different to your sort of regular women's magazines. It's got all the stuff that women's magazines normally have in terms of stories about fashion and cosmetics and, you know, those lifestyle stories, but they come at it from the lens of like sustainability and substance. So, you know, lots of meeting the people who actually make your clothes and, you know, profiling people doing amazing things in developing countries or closer to here to home, and also highlighting great products like Lush, you know, ones that fit support their listeners' values. And the other thing is every edition, they donate money to a charity. And this edition, they're donating money to Oxfam Zimbabwe Appeal, which is, of course, an organisation that's really dear to me. And they've donated over $15,000.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So that is what is good this episode. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please head to iTunes and rate us and leave us a review. Or you can head over to our Facebook page, The Human Factor, and hit like and join in the conversation. Please tell us about what you thought about our episode today. And if you have thoughts or insights to add to anything Sandra said, leave us a comment. Have you been inspired to make a change in your own community? Or perhaps you're taking steps to be more ethical in your shopping habits? Please just say hello.
Or you can tweet us at _Human Factor, or visit the website at humanfactor.com.au and leave us a voicemail or a message. This show is just one part of a community that wants to affect and grow social change. So if you know someone that you would like us to interview or you have a topic to suggest, please let us know.
You're all awesome, and we'll see you next time.